I want to start off by talking about an American journalist who has been detained in Kuwait for the past 6 weeks. He has basically been disappeared. His name is Ahmed Shihab al-Din, and he went to Kuwait to see his mother who is not well. And he reported on the Iranian missile that hit, I think, an American plane or some such, that he actually had been detained after he commented on videos and images related to the war in Iran. He was picked up by the Kuwaiti authorities, who have yet to publicly confirm that they have done that, and he has basically been disappeared. The White House has said nothing about his disappearance. He is an American citizen. He's worked with several of the American media houses. He has been a contributor to the New York Times, to MS Now, to BBC, to Al Jazeera. He's taught at the School of Journalism at Columbia University, but he has basically disappeared. So these are the amazing allies of the United States in the Gulf countries, where America also has its bases because, they want to protect democracies in the Middle East. Right. So this, I didn't want to let the week go by before mentioning that he has disappeared and that the US government has not publicly said anything. We don't know if there's any private efforts, but it takes one phone call from Donald Trump or Rubio, and this guy would be free. Or there'd be some information. I mean, what the hell happened to habeas corpus? But there are senators, and there's more and more voices on the Hill that are now demanding his whereabouts and his release. Moving on, it seems that Pakistan has prevailed again. The Iranians made it very, very clear numerous times, also in public posts, that they will not abandon Lebanon, that there will be no agreement unless Lebanon is part of those agreements. So my conjecture is that Field Marshal Asim Munir, who is still in Tehran, conveyed that to Washington and made it very clear that yes, it was part of the original agreement, and that talks with Iran will not move forward unless Lebanon is part of the framework agreement and unless a ceasefire is not immediately announced. Sure enough, about 2 hours ago, Donald Trump announced a 10-day ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. Netanyahu and his cabinet were meeting to deliberate, and Donald Trump did not wait. In fact, he announced this while they were meeting. So basically leaving Netanyahu no choice. That has gotten howls of protest from Israeli right-wingers, but there you have it. Hezbollah, a powerful Hezbollah MP, has said that they will silence their guns if Israel silences theirs, has demanded the withdrawal of Israeli troops from southern Lebanon. And Israel is saying it will not withdraw its troops from southern Lebanon, will not stop attacking Hezbollah targets. So I don't know if that's going to be a sticking point, but that is where we are right now. But the bottom line is, it seems that Pakistan's diplomatic efforts have succeeded in hopefully silencing Israel's guns inside of southern Lebanon, because right now their aggression in southern Lebanon dominates anything else. What we know is that Israel is still bombing, striking, and hunting people down with drones, and they're still blowing up essential civilian infrastructures. So It's supposed to be 5 p.m. ceasefire. Now, I don't know if it's 5 p.m. Eastern or if it's 5. That's the time that's been given, 5 p.m. So let us see if the guns are indeed silenced and if the withdrawal of Israeli troops becomes a sticking point in all of this. Donald Trump says that this would be his 10th war that he has stopped. But, a war that you have encouraged and green-lighted, war that you have started, imaginary wars don't count. But hey, if he feels good about that and stops the war in Lebanon and stops the horror being meted out to Lebanese civilians, that is fine. He also announced that Mr. Aoun, who is the president of Lebanon, will be receiving a phone call from Mr. Netanyahu, and Mr. Aoun has flatly refused to take any such call. He said that he will not speak to Netanyahu unless there is a full ceasefire. So that was a clear message. Donald Trump is now saying that Mr. Aoun and Mr. Netanyahu will come to Washington and have direct face-to-face talks. So we do not know if that's actually going to happen. Again, the withdrawal of Israeli troops from southern Lebanon, that might be a condition. We don't know. Iran made it abundantly clear that nothing moves forward unless Lebanon is not part of those agreements. And it seems that message has been received loud and clear. Now, I don't think Trump would have made that announcement unless Pakistanis had not told him that there's some serious compromises on the table. What those are, we do not know, but I can't imagine that it's not really a quid pro quo that is serious enough to make Donald Trump think, this might be worth it. So there we have it. Mr. Trump is also saying that if there is a deal to be had with Iran in Islamabad, then he will go to Pakistan himself. Now, we know that Mr. Trump is craving more drama, more attention, and he wants positive attention and accolades. So I think he may actually do it for that reason. But again, we don't know. There's no confirmation of anything. I think there is a ways to go. So we shall see how all of that pans out. Mr. Trump is also kind of backtracking on the Pope, although he seems to be admitting that perhaps in his mind now the Pope is quite powerful. He's saying that the Pope would like to allow Iran to have nuclear weapons, as if it is in the Pope's power to allow or disallow nuclear weapons. But he seems to think that the Pope, he has disagreements with the Pope because the Pope wants to allow Iran to have nuclear weapons. So his vice president thinks the Pope should not be speaking about theology, and Donald Trump is saying that the Pope wants to allow Iran to have nuclear weapons. It is hard to imagine that we are now in a stage in America where the Trump administration has basically declared war on the Vatican. We are in a really bizarre situation, utterly bizarre situation, but there we have it. So 4 o'clock on the East Coast, this is all that we know so far. It is very hard to believe anything coming out of the White House, but we are waiting to see if the Pakistan Foreign Ministry confirms any of what we are hearing, or Pakistan media actually confirms anything that we are hearing, because they're highly sourced inside both the Foreign Ministry as well as the military. But the Pakistanis are very, very tight-lipped about everything, as they should be. It seems the Prime Minister of Pakistan is now in Turkey. He went to Saudi Arabia, then to Qatar, and to Turkey, now in Turkey. What is significant about this, that what we are hearing is that it is Pakistan that arranged a phone call between the foreign minister of Iran and the foreign minister of Saudi Arabia, as well as some indication that they also arranged a call between the foreign minister of Iran and the foreign minister of the UAE. And of course, Qatar is already in dialogue with Iran, and it seems that the happy talk coming out is that everybody wants good relations with Iran. So that is what we are hearing. And also that Saudi Arabia wants Donald Trump to end this blockade because ultimately it is threatening Saudi interests. And if the Houthis get involved, then the second strait is threatened, and the Red Sea passage is also threatened. So there's a lot to lose for countries like Saudi Arabia that not only rely on the Strait of Hormuz, but also rely on another strait called Bab al-Manab, I think, and the Red Sea passage, which the Houthis can definitely threaten. So there is that. On we go. We shall see what the next hours bring, and of course what tomorrow brings. But right now, that is the news. The market has been up and down all day. The market has, I think, been more inclined to buy happy talk because obviously it's to their advantage. But Donald Trump saying that oil prices are not high at all, gas prices are not high at all, I think is going to make a lot of Americans on all sides and in the middle quite upset, because in some places gas is as high as $5 a gallon. So he may be desperate to get out of the quagmire right now, having caused enormous economic damage to the world, which, as I said before, Besant, I think, is telling him that America can weather. And meanwhile, everybody else gets damaged. And yes, everybody else is getting damaged. And China is getting angrier and angrier. So Donald Trump also is risking his visit to China if the situation does not wind down. So there is that. Hopefully somebody will tell him, you know what, your objective of harming the world economy has been achieved. And perhaps you can now back off and go as a conquering hero or a peacemaker or whatever you want to Pakistan and, once again shill for your Nobel Prize. Hopefully that is what is being told to him, as opposed to what Netanyahu may be telling him, which is finish the job, keep bombing, and keep creating situations where it's an escalation ladder and not a de-escalation ladder. Let us see how all of that pans out in the next hours and next days.